Hello there, dear loving soul. You're very welcome to this channel and to this topic on engaging with your baby during pregnancy and obviously practicing love towards your baby during your pregnancy. Because on this channel, we talk about universal laws and the super energy of love and how we can practice love on a daily basis. And so I decided to talk about this wonderful subject of engaging and communicating and practicing love towards your baby during pregnancy. Now, grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a glass of water or whatever your beverage is, and let's just jump straight into part one. Now, part one, as always, is about facts and universal laws. Part two will be all about the application of universal laws as well as some practical tips. And part three will be us delving into the messages from the spirit world. I've got some tarot decks here with me on the table today, and we will just hear what they've got to say. You know, the beautiful messages from our angels, archangels, ancestors, and anyone else who wishes to preside over this video series here today. So, in terms of the facts, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory and some inspiration for this video series. So, I was having a conversation with my lovely grandma maybe a week or so ago, within a week ago, and we started having a conversation about me being a young mom, and I have a 2-year-old toddler daughter. And I informed my grandma about how good she is doing, my daughter, at communicating and using her words. She's very good at communicating with other people. She's very big on remembering names of her teachers at her early education center, her peers, her friends. And so I was just having like a really deep and meaningful conversation with my grandma as to my little kid and her communication. And then what happened was I was really drawn to discuss with her this memory flash that I had back when I just gave birth, probably within 5 or 6 hours of me giving birth. I was speaking, I was holding my little Baba, and I was speaking to her. And a nurse at that time observed me and said out loudly something along the lines of saying how wonderful she thought I was communicating with my newborn, and the fact that I was thoroughly and talking to my baby. I was addressing her well. I was explaining to her everything that's going on, that I was really, really verbal with my little one. And that, I remember that moment, it actually caught me by surprise. And the reason it caught me by surprise was because it felt like a continuation of a conversation and engagement that I have had with my little baby whilst I was pregnant. So as soon as I found out that I was pregnant, about 5 or 6 weeks into my pregnancy, I definitely treated my little one as a big part of me, and I was communicating with her internally and externally and doing a bunch of other things which helped. And so during my conversation, going back to my conversation with Grandma, I was telling her the story and the experience that I had with the nurse and sort of what I used to do during pregnancy. And she definitely highlighted that there's definitely something in that. There's definitely some meaning in having treated my baby the way I did during pregnancy, to her hearing my voice a lot, knowing the words, engaging with the community, with my partner and our family members, and constantly being spoken to, whether through the mind internally or externally, must have had an impact on how well her communication is at this point in time while she's a young little toddler. Sort of a little bit, her communication is advancing quite rapidly in a positive manner, obviously, and that's a great thing. There's obviously a bunch of things that we did since her birth as well, and during the last 2 years, in order to encourage communication, in order to encourage her use of words. But, this video series will be, I think, more as to the pregnancy phase. That's what I was talking to my grandma, and I was inspired to make this video series about that sort of stage, that phase, Now, a disclaimer, this video series is not just only for pregnant mamas or mothers in general. This video series, I think, will be just as fruitful for any person, be it the dad, the father figure, or if you're thinking of having kids in the future, as in it might be not on the cards for you now, or you might be thinking of having little ones in the future. Likewise, any other kind of family member, aunts, uncles, nephews, nieces, grandparents, right? I think you will also get some value away from this video series, because it is all about practicing love towards a baby during pregnancy. And you may have a pregnant person in your life or about to have one, and it's your interaction, your contribution to that pregnancy, to that baby during that phase of their growth and development that may prove a key and useful. And you might be, even if you do find value from this video series, first of all, please write V down below, or an emoji of the 2 fingers down below in the comments. That would be really helpful. But more importantly, you may be inspired to share this video with others out there, you know, the pregnant mum or the father figure or whoever else that you may want to share this video with if you found value in it. I usually talk about 3 universal laws for your particular video series, and I do have 3 for this particular topic on engaging and communicating and practicing love towards your baby during your pregnancy. And the first one is really about that one web, that we are all connected. Every single loving soul and every single matter, object is connected, even though we may have an illusion that we're separated when we're going through the school of planet Earth in this lifetime. But in essence, in truth, we're actually all united, one web of connections. And that is directly relevant, obviously, to pregnant mothers, because when they become pregnant, instantly the little one, the little baby inside her, is within the body of the mother, which is directly connected to all of her organs, you know, her structure, her physical body. And with that, there is the most direct connection that any one person can ever have. When we are in these physical bodies, these technologies that we've got going on in order to experience this world. And I love that. I think there's beauty in that. And as a result of that, I actually think there is 100% chance of us, and this is my belief, is that there is a ability for us to connect internally to our baby. And I just don't mean physically. We're obviously physically connected when we're pregnant, the ladies are pregnant, but on a mental level and an emotional and a spiritual level, I think there is a direct sort of one-to-one connection that is established there right from the get-go. The second universal law that I wanted to discuss today, which is all about the free choice. 2 things come straight away. So the first one is the free choice of the parents, right, to have the baby. So you take a conscious decision, or you take certain steps in order to become pregnant. So there's the parent choice, freedom of choice. And I do believe there is a freedom of choice when we are in spirit form. And every single person, before they incarnate into this planet, I genuinely believe this, we come in with a dynamic plan or a blueprint or a dynamic plan for our life. But more importantly, there are certain bits and bobs that we get to choose. And one of those is actually our parents, our mum and dad, the figures of mum and dad in our lives. And why? Because I do, jumping actually onto the third universal law at the same time, the role of the parent, I see is as a guardian of another dear loving soul as they walk through their personal life during this lifetime. And I definitely think that the guardians are the best chosen individuals for that particular baby or for that particular soul. So it's kind of like a custom-made family, custom-made baby, mum and dad. There's free choice from every single individual, from every single loving soul, to have picked one another in order to experience this lifetime and grow together, go through various lessons and experiences that we know that together we will be able to actually go through together and it's aligned with whatever mission it is that we have come here to complete, individually and on a collective basis. And yeah, so that freedom of choice is ever present with the baby, that loving soul as well, to have chosen their, mum and dad figures in their life. And I think that's beautiful, and I'm gonna mention that in part 2 as well, when we're talking about some practical tips as to how that pans out in practice, and what does it mean for being able to communicate or engage with your baby during that pregnancy stage. But if there's anything else I wanted to mention on the guardian, which is the third universal law, so I see a role of a parent as a guardian, and just to expand a little bit more about it, it's equivalent, or I think people generally have a pretty good understanding, or they use their intuitive powers to try and comprehend what the role of a guardian angel is, or your spirit guide, that they're to walk side by side you in order to help you through this lifetime, in order for you to get assistance whenever you ask for help. In particular, you ask and you shall receive. And likewise, I actually think that's the equivalent role of any particular parent or parent figures in my baby's child's life, is that we are there to stand side by side, help one another, look after one another, and guard and steward that baby one way or another as they continue on in their lifetime on this planet Earth. And so I guess it's a supporting role, it's an encouraging role, it's an honourable role. I genuinely think, being a parent myself, I think it's an honour and a blessing to be able to oversee and guard and help my little one in her beautiful soul as she goes through the planet Earth lifetime that she has picked for herself. And I'm honoured to be her mum or her guardian as we walk through this lifetime together. That's what I already try and say on the universal law, the guardian, or the role of the parent. I use the guardian here in physical form on planet Earth, and very equivalent to the guardian angels or spirit guides who are in the spirit form. So, and with that in mind, I think that's it for part 1, which is the universal laws as well as the facts. Hopefully they give you enough of an understanding of what this video series is all about. Let's jump into part 2, which is the application of universal laws and going through some practical tips when it comes to engaging and communicating and practicing love towards your baby during pregnancy. Click on the link below to part 2, and I will see you shortly.